Money does something to people between 65 and 75 that no one, not your bank, not your kids, will ever warn you about. I sat at retired people's kitchen tables for 20 years and watched it happen. And the cost is never just money. It is real years, real trips, real mornings. Stay with me because the third thing I'm going to tell you today is the one almost nobody sees coming, and it is the one that costs people the most. My name is David. I spent 20 years as a bookkeeper, and for most of that time, most of my clients were retired people. I sat at their kitchen tables. I saw their statements. I watched what happened. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a planner, an accountant, a therapist. Nothing with a license. I am someone who watched the pattern repeat over and over until I could not stay quiet about it any longer. What I'm going to talk about today is not what to do with your money. It is what your money does to you in this particular decade. If you let the fear run the show, and the fear is real, I want to say that plainly, right at the start. It is not a moral failing to find this hard. Here's what I watched happen, time after time. A woman, I'll call her Patricia. She was 68, had worked her whole life. She had saved carefully, spent nothing she did not have to, and by the time she retired, she had, by any measure, enough. She told me once, sitting across from me with a cup of tea going cold, that she wanted to go to Portugal, had wanted to go for years. Her late husband had always said they would go. She did not go, not that year, not the next. She kept saying she needed to check the figures first. Patricia is not unusual. She is almost everyone. Here's what nobody tells you about the saving instinct. It does not turn off when you retire. You spent 40 years, maybe more, building a habit. Do not spend, do not touch it, put it away, and protect it. That habit kept you safe. And now, in the decade when the money is actually supposed to do something for you, that same habit sits on your chest like a stone. Every time you think about spending a single penny of what you spent decades building, something inside you calls it a crime, irresponsible, wasteful, as though the act of saving it was the point, and spending it was a betrayal of everything you worked for. The people I watched who truly flourished in this decade, and I watched both kinds, had figured out one thing the others had not. They understood that the fear itself was costing them something, not just money, time, the trip that kept getting postponed, the grandchild they kept meaning to take somewhere, the kitchen they kept living around because they could not bring themselves to spend on it. The ones who faded just kept checking the figures. Now, everything I watched at those kitchen tables, the fear, the scripts the scammers used, the trips that never got taken, I have put into a short guide called Money Without Fear. It is not financial advice, and it is not a plan. I told you, that is not my lane. It is about the fear itself, where it comes from, what it costs, and how to stop letting it make your decisions. I'll tell you exactly where to find it in a minute. But first, the part most people miss entirely. The fear makes you a target. I want you to understand this clearly, because this is the thing that kept me up at night when I was working. People who are frightened of their money tend to go very quiet about it. They do not talk to friends. They do not ask questions. They sit with the anxiety alone, and that makes them exactly the kind of person that certain people look for. I'm talking about scammers, and I'm not talking about obvious, clumsy scams. I'm talking about polished, patient, sophisticated operations that specifically target people in their late 60s and early 70s, because that is when the money is there, and because that is when the fear is highest, and because a frightened person who has never talked openly about their finances is far easier to handle than someone who has. Here is how they find you. They do not always call at random. Sometimes they know more about you than you think. And when they call, they do not sound like criminals. They sound calm. They sound authoritative. They sound like the person who finally has the answer you have been quietly looking for. This next part might surprise you. The scripts they use are almost always built around the same two levers. The first is urgency. Something is going to expire, close, run out, or get taken away, and you need to act today, right now, before you hang up the phone. The second is fear validation. They tell you that your current situation is a problem, that the money you have is at risk, and that they are the solution. They are speaking directly to the anxiety that has been sitting on your chest since you retired. And this is where I want to give you 3 sentences. Memorize them. Use them without guilt. I never make financial decisions over the phone. Full stop. Send me something in writing, and I will have someone independent look at it. Full stop. Thank you. Goodbye. That is the whole script. You do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to be polite beyond those 3 sentences. Anyone who is legitimate will respect them. Anyone who pushes back on them has told you everything you need to know. Now I promised you the third thing, the one almost nobody sees coming. It is not the scammers. Scammers are the enemy outside the door. The thing that costs people the most is the enemy inside. The voice that says there will be time later, that you should wait until things settle, that it is too early to spend or too late to start, or that you need to check the figures one more time before you do the thing you have been meaning to do for years. Joan, who was one of my clients, put it to me this way. She was 71. She said, "I have been careful my whole life, and I think I've been careful all the way past the point where it does me any good." That sentence has never left me. The people I watch come through this decade, the ones who had the trip, had the meal, had the morning that they remembered, did not have more money than the ones who faded. They had less fear, or more precisely, they had decided, at some point, to stop letting the fear be the one making the decisions. That is not reckless. It is not irresponsible. It is not a betrayal of everything you worked for. It is the whole point. If you want someone to help you think through the actual financial side of this, and you should, find someone qualified and independent, not someone who called you, not someone who is selling something. A genuine independent financial advisor, fee-based, with no product to push. Your bank can point you toward how to find one, and so can a quick search for regulated financial advice in your country. But if what you want is help with the fear itself, where it comes from, the scams that feed on it, and what the people who truly flourish do differently, that is exactly why I wrote Money Without Fear. The link is in the description. Grab it. It walks you through exactly how to stop letting the fear cost you the years. Patricia, by the way, went to Portugal. She was 72. She said it was the best 10 days of her life. She almost waited too long. Don't.